This is Tiffany Lucas. She appears unemotional and remorseless after killing her children in cold blood. She claimed that it was an accident and that she was manipulated through Wi-Fi and Facebook to commit the heinous crimes, but the relatives don't buy this.
How do you accidentally a kid 2 times and then a brother? How do you do that? It's no.
There's no
we're
accident.
Not accepting that.
It's not mental illness. She knew it. She did.
So, what exactly happened? Why did Tiffany commit this atrocious crime against her own flesh and blood? Was there anything that could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Let's explore. From the outside looking in, Tiffany Lucas seemed like a great mom to her 2 sons, Jaden 9 and Maurice 6. Her Facebook bio read in all caps, Jay and Peanut World forever. Peanut was the nickname she had for Maurice, while Jaw is Jaden's pet name. She often posted videos of her and the boys together, laughing and having good time.
Y'all having a good time?
On Jaden's 6th birthday, she wrote on Facebook in another post of April 2021, she posted a picture of her and the 2 boys, writing she also made a post for Halloween in October 2023, showing cute pictures of her and the boys in Star Wars costumes, with her dressed as Princess Leia Morris's Yoda and Jaden as Boba Fett. The 2 boys had different dads, but unfortunately, Jaden's dad passed away in 2019, and there is much information about Morris's dad. Jaden did have a much older brother named Daryl, who became involved in the boys' lives after his dad died. There were also several other family members who really loved and cared for the 2 boys. They described them as being really sweet and polite boys who were happy and loved video games and playing outside.
They were the sweetest little boys. They were so polite. They were happy. They did both love playing the video games and stuff like that. Little Reese, we called him Little Reese. He loved playing soccer and loved playing outside and riding his bike and stuff like that. They were great little boys.
Tiffany was also known to be a very hard-working and ambitious person who had big dreams and was positive about the future. Back in 2016, she had opened a business called Miss Tiff One Stop Shop in West Broadway, where she was interviewed by a local TV station about the struggles of being a small business owner after Walmart opened nearby.
A lot of people don't make their way down here, but if there's a Walmart, you come out of the woodworks for Walmart. So probably would have brought a lot of people to, stop and check us out.
Unfortunately, the business closed down a year later in 2017. While the world saw Tiffany as a good and doting mother who had her act together, those who knew her saw a completely different side of her. Morris's stepmother, Michelle, said in an interview that Tiffany was nothing like what she portrayed on social media. She was a selfish mum who often kept the children away from family members and the people who loved them.
He had a home here, he had a room here, he has family here. He has a father, he has me, he has his little brother here. She didn't want him to have a relationship with his little brother. She really tried to take really as much away from Reese as she could. She was very, very selfish.
What was your relationship like with them? What did you guys do together? How often did you see them?
So I saw him, I was around since he was born. We saw him as much as she let us. It was always an issue with her. It was never normal.
Tiffany, you mean Tiffany?
Tiffany, yeah. The pickup and drop off was never normal. The times were never consistent. Things were with her, they weren't normal. Nothing was normal. She kept him from so much. Things we used to try to do for him, birthday parties, Christmas. During those times, she would purposely keep him. We threw big birthday parties. For Christmas time, he wouldn't get his presents till around Valentine's Day. So when we did get him, we would try to keep him, for as long as we could before she, went into whatever crazy stage she would go into, A lot of people see the social media side of her, and that's just the social media side. It's not really how she was, off the camera, versus how personal relationship you would see her really act or see the crazy side of her.
Tiffany had a history of substance abuse and had several run-ins with the police between 2014 and 2017. On one occasion, she even spent a month in jail for narcotic possession. Family members said that she was neglectful of the boys and would often leave them alone in the house or lock them in the car as she went out. They also lived in deplorable conditions.
Living conditions inside the house were crazy. I never would have thought that it looked like that, honestly. But it looked horrible. It looked really bad.
Did Reese or Jaden ever say anything to you that they're concerned about their mom, they're worried about where they're living, anything that they talked about their mom in any way, or?
No, so when little Reese was little, you know, as a young child, you don't really know what not to say. So he was the one that was letting us know, like, he was being left at home with just his brother, or being left alone in the car with his brother, and mom locks the car, you know, things like that. So we were aware of things, you know, then, things she was into and things like that. So it's not like, oh, we kind of know her background. We know her background and stuff like that.
Family members tried calling Child Protective Services on her several times over the years, but they never did anything, saying there wasn't enough evidence. At one point, when the children were younger, they were taken away from her, but she found a way to get them back.
She did things because she wanted people to see her as a certain way, but that's not really how she was. That's just how she wanted to be seen as, you know, like on social media. Nobody really knew, you know, behind the scenes of her, like her drug issues. She never had a job, she never worked, things like that. Like the boys were taken from her previously when they were smaller, due drugs, things like that, but they were given back. You know, the court, we tried to reach out to CPS, they let us down. They didn't follow up. They said what we said wasn't strong enough, drugs, leaving the kids at home by themselves, things like that. But they, you know, they wouldn't follow up with things.
Michelle also said that the family didn't really know how Tiffany was making money to provide for herself and the boys because she didn't have a job. They suspected that she was working as an escort because of some emails that they found on her computer. Despite all these, no one would have ever imagined that she would be capable of doing something so horrible to her own children. On Wednesday, November 8, 2023, at around 11 a.m., deputies responded to Tiffany's house in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, where a neighbor had called to report a gunfire incident. The male neighbor said that he saw Tiffany collapse on a lawn chair outside of the home and felt that something was off. He asked her if she was okay, and she responded, "My children are dying inside." The neighbor rushed inside the house to find a gruesome sight in one of the bedrooms. The young boys were lying in a puddle of red with a gun next to them.
There were statements evidently that were made there on scene. To our recollection right now, the individual that is responsible basically went next door to a neighbor's house and there was a husband and a wife there, and she was actually in their driveway, laying down in their driveway when they came across her. And the husband ended up going inside the house, locating the boys, and immediately coming out and calling 911.
Emergency services arrived at the scene and found the two boys suffer multiple bullet wounds to the head. They were rushed to the nearby Norton Children's Hospital, where doctors tried everything to save them, but sadly there was nothing they could do. Both boys were pronounced dead 2 hours later.
On Tuesday night, neighbors in this part of Bentwood Drive saw two boys playing in the front lawn. Their mother was outside too. They say she was frantically cleaning carpets in the house and told some, quote, "a lot going on." Fast forward to Wednesday morning.
I was cutting my grass. My next door neighbor Jill said, "Bob, come around, I want to tell you something." And we saw the police up here.
Around 11 a.m., neighbors who did not want to go on camera tell us Tiffany Lucas was outside and a person asked her if she was okay. They say Lucas responded that her kids were dying inside the home. The neighbor found them and called 911.
Officers and deputies arrived at that location to find that there were two victims in the bedroom and a gun on the bed.
The two boys were rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but died 2 hours later. Their mother, Tiffany Lucas, now sits in the Bullitt County Detention Center, charged with their murders.
I'm a mom of two, and It's hard. It's scary. Scary.
I just think they need our prayers and concerns about the whole family.
Meanwhile, investigators searched around the area to see if they would find any cameras that captured the incident, and they did find a doorbell camera from one of the neighbors that faced Tiffany's home. The footage has not yet been released, but according to investigators, you can hear the sound of 4 gunshots going off one after the other for about 30 seconds. Then, 5 minutes later, Tiffany is seen running out of the house before collapsing and yelling for help. A neighbor is then seen approaching her before rushing inside the house. This footage confirmed what the police already suspected that there was no one else in the house other than Tiffany and her 2 sons. The news of the tragic incident shook the entire community, with many struggling to understand how a mother would do this to her own children.
In shock, a lot of grief, a horrific act, just as you would expect any community, I guess, across this country to react to something like this. It's shocking. It's something that you never want to confront, but unfortunately we have. However, we have a strong community here in Bullitt County, and they're supporting the loved ones, the family of these young children.
It's devastating. As a mother, I can't imagine that, thinking that that's the only way.
A friend of Tiffany named Talia Crutcher expressed her shock and disgust on social media. She wrote extensively about how the heinous act made her sick to her stomach, revealing that she had been with Tiffany just days before. In an interview, Talia said that she never thought that her friend would do something so atrocious to her own children because she always seemed to love them.
How she was on Facebook is how she treated them in real life. She constantly, every day, told them they were kings and reminded them of how loved they are.
However, Talia admitted that Tiffany had a darker side and made it impossible to get along with her.
She goes off very fast. Very fast. She'll get mad and just flip a switch. And I hate that for the boys because they probably got the first hand of everything, they saw everything.
Talia said that her children loved Jaden and Morris, and they were struggling to come to terms with the fact that their friends are now gone.
My daughter was mad. They were both mad, and we went out to eat, and that's never hit my son. He was trying to say something about Jaden, and he couldn't even talk. And he was trying hard, very hard. It took him a while. He had to write it down, and he still even was upset. He busted out crying. And that was the first time I've really seen him cry.
These heinous crimes, either due to mental illness, substance use, pure evil, or some combination of those factors.
Motive sometimes can be a byproduct, but I can tell you now in my 40 plus years of being in this line of work, there are 3 things that I've seen, and it can be these things individually or it can be these things in combination. You can have a individual who is suffering from some type of mental illness. You can have an individual who has some type of substance abuse problem, or that individual can simply be just that evil, or it can be a combination of those things. I haven't seen any other outliers other than those 3. And so right now, I guess it's, anybody's guess as to which one of those she covers.
The boy family members were devastated, saying that they would have taken them if she felt overwhelmed and couldn't take care of them.
They should both be here today in school, going to school, learning, playing sports.
We wanted them. We would have took them open arms. We loved them so much.
Jaden's grieving brother Darrell described the last time he saw the 2 boys.
We just played a card game. That was it. Simple as that. And then we had the best time ever. Because I should have did more. I should have. If it came to me coming to snatch the boys out the house, I should have did that. And I will hold that on my back for the rest of my life. For both of them boys.
Darrell said that his only comfort in this whole situation was in knowing that his 2 little brothers were not alone.
I just know Jaden and Peanut, I know they together. And I know our father probably waiting on them. Waiting on both of them. You scarred everybody with this one. You scored everybody with this one.
Meanwhile, the community organized a vigil for the 2 little boys, which was attended by friends, family, and even strangers who came to pay their respects for the young brothers who were taken way too soon.
200 people gathered at Little Flock Baptist Church Sunday night to remember the lives of 2 boys gone too soon. On Wednesday, November 8th, the boys, 9-year-old Jaden Howard and 6-year-old Maurice Baker Jr., were shot and killed in their home, and their mother, 32-year-old Tiffany Lucas, is accused of being the one who pulled the trigger, a crime that brings long-lasting impact.
It's shaking my whole family. Who would ever think that you would have to worry about a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old losing their life the way that they did?
Bobby Baker is the biological aunt of Maurice Jr., but had custody of both boys at one point after she says Child Protective Services was called on Lucas on multiple occasions for drug-related issues. But Baker feels the constant calls for help have been ignored.
My brother is never gonna be the same. This community is never gonna be the same. Jaden's family's never gonna be the same.
From the outside looking in, the thought of possible problems with Lucas was inconceivable, but those close to the family say all that glitters isn't gold.
The person can dress themselves up or put clean clothes on the kids. You're not seeing what's going on, and if family members have told you that and you don't take it or you don't listen, we failed those kids.
Tiffany was arraigned in court on November 9th, 2023, where she maintained a serious expression throughout her appearance and pleaded not guilty on 2 counts of couple murder. A judge found her to be a danger to others and set up a bond of $2 million.
Was inside this home where investigators say Tiffany Lucas shot her 2 children in a shooting that ultimately led to their deaths. Now, instead of yellow tape, there are stuffed animals, flowers, and candles laid outside to honor the children's memories. The 32-year-old mother appeared in court this morning via video conference, arms crossed, and said nothing during the short court arraignment. She remains in jail on 2 murder charges, 1 for each child. And as Judge Jennifer Porter read the citation, she sighed and quickly determined that Lucas was a danger to others and set the high bond.
And after reading through the citation, noting the charges, specifically 2 Class A felonies of murder, the court is finding her to be a danger to others and will set a $2 million bond.
In a subsequent court appearance, Tiffany had the same emotionless look on her face when she appeared not to care about anything.
Ms. Lucas, come on over here to the podium. The matter is before the court today to review the status of her attorney. What we're doing, ma'am, is just making sure you've made contact with your lawyer. Are you representing?
Yes, Your Honor. Richard Lonizak with the Department of Public Advocacy Trial Branch on behalf of Ms. Lucas.
Case is set for March the 18th at 1 o'clock to set for trial. We'll pass it to that date, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir, would you write down your name and contact information for the clerk's office?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually,
This apparent lack of emotion infuriated the boy families, who felt that she didn't care about what she had done.
I understand you were in court this past week when she was brought in. What did you make of her demeanor?
Careless. To me, she looks like, yeah, I did it. And she has that eyebrows raised, selfish look on her face. And that look has, since I used to pick up and drop off with little Reese, that's her look always. Very nasty. It was never easy, dealing with her, anything like that, ever.
One of the detectives who spoke to Tiffany after the incident testified in court that she told him that she killed her sons by accident. She then went on to claim that, get this, she was manipulated through Wi-Fi and Facebook into committing this horrific crime. How ridiculous is that?
They didn't deserve this. They were so happy.
Michelle Rice called the news of the boys' murders unimaginable. Her stepson, 6-year-old Maurice, and his brother, 9-year-old Jaden, were shot inside their home on Bentwood Drive in Shepherdsville last week. Their mother, Tiffany Lucas, is charged with their murders. In court Tuesday morning, Bullitt County Detective Richard Bill revealed new details about the moments after the young boys were found, saying a neighbor was rendering aid when officers arrived.
Sergeant McAllister also asked the subject if the mom shot the children. The subject pointed to a gun that was laying on the bed and replied, quote, yes.
Bill says surveillance video shows Lucas leaving her home after 4 gunshots were heard. According to Bill, when Lucas was asked if she meant to hurt her children, she said the shooting was an accident and made statements about being manipulated through Facebook and Wi-Fi to do what she did.
Nobody can manipulate you to do such a horrific thing. Nobody can manipulate you to do that.
She's come out and said through the detective who testified that, you know, she allegedly said this was an accident, that someone gave her a gun, that she was in a bad spot, that she was manipulated. What do you make of those claims?
Excuses, just something to say, because to me that, like, an accident, like that, there's no accident. There's no accident. Like, you can't accidentally do that. There's two of your baby boys that you intentionally killed. You went to the neighbors, you told them that. Like, she was competent. She knew exactly what she did, and I believe that's what she wanted. Like, she knew it.
Maurice's stepmother, Michelle, believes that Tiffany is just a selfish person who knew what she was doing when she killed her children, and that the story about being manipulated was made up.
Why would she kill her own children?
I can't tell you why, but I would say just out of selfish reasons. She was competent. She was very aware of what she did. She knows what she did. Even the emotions, she shows no emotions. She goes on camera. She has that same look is that same look she always has. That nasty, just, you know, she's not a person you can really get along with consistently. She's very inconsistent.
Michelle said in an interview that Tiffany had been hanging out with some pretty shady people, and she believes that she got the gun to commit the sickening crime from one of them.
What about the fact that she had this gun? Like, do you know where she would have gotten it from or anything? Because she said someone gave it to her.
I believe probably one of those guys maybe she dealt with. Like I said, she didn't have a job or anything, so her ways of making money, or, you know, escorting ways, whatever, you know, maybe something like that, you know.
You know that she was escorting to make money?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. She never had a job. I mean, how else do you make money without a job?
There's still a lot of unanswered questions in this case, and the family is still struggling to come to terms with what happened. They felt that CPS failed the 2 boys because they didn't do anything when they reported their concern. Meanwhile, family members have been attending Tiffany's hearings, saying that they wanted the court and Tiffany to know that Jaden and Morris had people fighting for them.
I'll start with you, Bobby. Just tell me, especially for you making such a long trip here, why is it so important for you to be here, even for something little like this?
Because I just wanted to make sure that the state or whoever, they know that the boys have somebody speaking for them. And I want her to see my face every time. I want her to see our face every time she come out that courtroom. We're gonna be here.
What does that tell her?
That they have somebody fighting for them.
As of April 2024, Tiffany is still in jail awaiting trial. If found guilty of her charges, she would be sentenced to pay with her life, and stepmom Michelle says that she deserves that.
As I'm sure you know, she's charged with 2 counts of capital murder. She could be eligible for the death penalty if she's convicted. Is that something that you would want?
Most definitely. Anything less would be a slap on the wrist. Most definitely.
And it's you know, this trial, if it goes to trial, it's going to be a process. It's going to be a long process unless she somehow takes a deal. If a deal was offered for life in prison, but you know that it doesn't go to trial, would that be something that you would accept, or you would tell the prosecutors this is, you know, not something that we're okay with?
No, we want the penalty. That's what we want. She deserves to die.
What do you think about this case? Do you support Michelle that Tiffany should die for her crimes? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button.